Meanwhile, President Trump has reportedly pitched Republican leaders on a solar-paneled border wall with Mexico. Sounds like a win-win, right? Well, green energy and keeping our borders safe at the same time. Hard to go wrong with that. Bruce Blakeman is a principal with the Sustainable Technology, Inc. His company submitted a blueprint design for solar panels on the border wall, and he joins us live here in Studio F. Good morning to you.
Hi, Steve.
This is genius.
Well, we got together a group of creative people, designers, engineers, Homeland Security experts, finance people, and we were kicking around the idea, how do you get that border barrier built, and can't there be a generating of revenue from that border barrier? And one of the engineers said, let's put solar on it. And he made a brilliant design.
Right, because essentially by being a power generating station, the wall would offset the cost of the wall.
It would defray the cost of the wall by $40 million to $400 million annually, depending on how much per megawatt hour the market was.
Okay, so we're looking at one of the designs right here. Explain what we're looking at.
Well, we're looking at a beautiful rendition of the border barrier with the solar component. As you can see, it's mesh, it's steel mesh. You can see through it. There's no graffiti that can be put on it, and it has a solar gathering component that can generate a tremendous amount of megawatt hours, 2 million megawatt hours per year.
Unbelievable. And for it to go out like that and up like that, it would be hard to climb over.
Exactly. Our engineers took a look at everything. They looked at the specifications, the security needs, and the solar gathering materials that would be required, and they came up with a great design, amazing design.
Here's one of the other things, aside from the fact that it would offset the cost of the wall, is the fact that it would wind up, you would think, because the political left loves things that are solar-powered, they'd love this. Oh, wait a minute, we love it, but we hate it. We love it because it's solar-powered, but we hate it because it's a wall.
Exactly, and the best thing about it is we could sell the energy to Mexico, so in fact they would be paying for the wall. So it's a win-win-win. Okay,
so it's a fascinating idea. Has the president at all given any indication that he likes this idea?
Well, he hasn't said we particularly like Sustainable Technology's idea, but he did have a meeting with Republican leaders and talked about a solar gathering component on the wall. When you think of the southern border, I mean, it's the perfect place. You have sunlight there more than any place else in the United States. So it's the perfect place for a solar farm. This would, in effect, be a border barrier with a solar farm.
And would it stretch from sea to shining sea, or would it just be a couple hundred miles here, a couple hundred miles there?
We believe that if you take the critical hotspots where the crossings are occurring, basically, if you did 300 miles, you could cover 80% of those illegal crossings. If you did it in the micropolitan and the metropolitan areas such as Yuma, El Paso, Del Rio, and El Centro, and build out from the center of the border crossing 30 to 50 miles in each direction, east and west, you would eliminate 80% of the illegal crossings. The rest of the patrols could handle from land and air the rest of the monitoring.
This is Infrastructure Week at the White House, where the president's been talking about fixing everything, where he's got all sorts of alliances between public entities and private entities. Any possibility you could put a bunch of people together to finance this thing, and then through the solar energy that it produces, it would pay for itself and you wouldn't have to go to Congress?
Well, that's our plan, Steve. We believe that this is a public-private partnership deal. Basically, what would happen is we would enter into a contract with the federal authority to sell them the energy. They would then sell the energy to a grid, and the revenue derived from it would go to pay for the bonds that we would have to finance the border barrier by.
Fascinating stuff. All right. Bruce Blakeman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.